The Rangers and Yankees have a lot of postseason history, and the Rangers have actually been better than the Yankees for about a decade and a half. Can you believe that? We've got an explanation, plus a World Series preview, plus a look at the catching position. It's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. How do you like that walk down memory lane? Those pictures are worth at least 1,000 words as we welcome you into the Rangers DLLS podcast. It's John Radigan Rads with Abs and J-Dub. That's Abby Jones. That's Jeff Wilson. The Prophets over there. You see the new intro. How about that? That's a beautiful thing. So we want you to always be here with us. We're here at noon all week long. Which is a cool time. I like the lunch hour, right? I think we can get our chatters involved, and hopefully at some point some of them will be mad chatters, and some of them will be happy chatters, and we'll talk to all of them.
And super chatters.
And super chatters. I like that idea. Yeah. So like us, subscribe to us, chat with us as we talk Rangers baseball and all things baseball as we head toward the World Series, and that those pictures. Just conjure, Jeff, so many images and memories of that 2010. And I know you were there to cover it, and I was too. But it didn't mean as much to anyone who hadn't been there in the 90s to cover, to experience the game, the relief, the magic that was not only making it to the World Series, but beating the Yankees to do so.
Yeah, and because as you alluded to there in the 90s, the Rangers and the Yankees played 3 times.
Yes.
In the visitors. So these are the first 3 playoff series the Rangers ever played. In 96, they win game 1 and then lose the next 9.
Yeah. That's the thing. 2 of them were sweeps.
Right.
And then, there was a 9-game losing streak, which at the time, Abs, was, I think, the longest losing streak against one team in baseball history, right? In the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then the Rangers lost game 1, actually, of the ALCS in 2010 after having a lead. So they made it to 10 in a row against the Yankees, and it was just like, again, for those of us who were around in the 90s, when that loss happened, the Rangers had the lead, and the Yankees snacked victory from the jaws of defeat. It was like, oh, my gosh, here we go again.
The Yankees again.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, but then Colby Lewis comes out the next night, man's up, and the Rangers end up winning that game. Then they go to New York. They win the first 2 there. Cliff Lee in game 3, dominant, outpitches Andy Pettitte. And then game 4, that's the game that Molina hit the home run, and Derek Holland was so big in relief. I got those mixed up last week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and then, of course, the iconic photo of Feliz and Benji Molina hugging it out, embracing the dog pile. It was so loud there. You remember how loud it was,
Oh, my
John?
gosh, unbelievable.
For an outdoor stadium.
50,000 in attendance.
Yeah, very, very loud. And then, Wash was great, getting the trophy and holding it up and his big smile.
That photo.
And, it was a good time. And then, the next year it was thought to be even better. And
right.
Didn't end well either year, but
but that
everybody haven't forgotten it, but 2023 took care of a lot of the pain.
Yes, it did. It took a lot of the pain away, no doubt about that. And that Friday night in October in 2010 was just so unbelievable because there had been all those playoff series against the Yankees where it was just like, wah, wah. I mean, 3-game sweeps in a 5-game series, Abs. It was just so frustrating. And again, to lose game 1, we didn't think there was any way. So to have conquered the mountain and that like the feeling that the people who had been around for a long time, obviously not just the media, in fact, more so the fans and the people who work for the organization, it was a euphoria like I'm just not sure I've ever experienced, even for a team that won a championship, because you did it, right? And that's possibly part of the problem for 2010.
Yeah.
The goal was maybe not to win the World Series.
Yeah.
It always is, but it was to beat the Yankees, right?
Yeah.
And you gave your best shot there, and maybe you didn't have enough left. Now, granted, the Giants had some pretty good pitching that year too.
Yeah. But to your point, it's like happy to be there. We're happy to be in the World Series.
Yes.
Kind of the happy to be there feeling. And then it was Cliff Lee against Lincecum in Game 1 in San Francisco, and both teams scored in the first inning. Ian Kinsler just missed a home run. It hit off the very top of the center field wall and came back into play instead of going over the fence. But yeah, those Giants teams, as we came to know, were awfully good.
Yes,
and the Rangers lose the first two in San Francisco. Come home, Colby Lewis pitches his tail off. They win Game 3. Then you're thinking, oh, Game 4, we've got this rookie left-hander going against this lefty rookie left. Yeah. Anyway, that was Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah.
And that was the start of him becoming Madison Bumgarner, the best postseason starting pitcher, arguably ever.
Yep.
So, anyway, 5 games, but, but beating the Yankees, though, it's still like until Josh Sborz got the last out of the World Series, the final out of Game 6 was the moment in Rangers history.
How long had you been covering the Rangers at that point?
At that point in 2010, so it's 10 plus 10, basically 20 years. Yeah, because I started covering them in 90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeff?
That was my 3rd season.
Third season.
Yeah. So, and it was somewhat eerily similar because, with the Rangers winning Game 1 against the Yankees in 1996, and they had a lead in Game 2. The bullpen kind of imploded in Game 2, but it seemed like, oh my gosh, the Rangers are better than this team. I mean, that was a year the Rangers really might have, made some noise. They might have actually gone to the World Series with that 96 team. That was a great team. And then, you're like, okay, that's all right. We're going to face them again. And the Yankees started a dynasty. I mean, they really weren't dynastic, and hence the 2 sweeps. I mean, like we're in different leagues now. And at that point, the Yankees were in a different league from a lot of teams, right?
Yeah.
And the Giants kind of did the same thing. You got a back and forth series going a little bit. And again, the Rangers never came up against them again. But the Giants really started a bit of a dynasty that year after 2000.
For sure. I mean, 3 in 5 years.
Yeah. That's a dynasty.
Pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And the Yankees won the World Series in 96, 98, 99. So they had to beat the Rangers. The World Series went through Texas
every year.
But the 96 Yankees were down 2-0 in the World Series and looked like they're about to be down 3-0, but they ended up winning Game 3. I think Jim Leyritz hit a home run in that game, and they just took care of the Braves from there. It looked like the Braves were going to run away. They were the defending champs. Andrew Jones was this 18-year-old wonderkin who hit a couple homers in a game. But, that was the start. It really was.
It really was. Yeah. But since 2009, how many World Series have the Rangers been to since 2009? 10, 11, 23. How many World Series have the Yankees been to since 2009? I'm just saying.
Okay, 1 today.
We're counting this year, yeah.
Okay, if we're counting this year, we'll give them 1. I'm not. Not yet. That World Series hasn't started yet.
Hasn't even started yet.
Yeah.
No, it's always the Yankees and the ALDS. In 2006, when my dad was with the Tigers, that's who they had to beat to go to the World Series. And Kenny Rogers, big part of that run, too. He threw a shutout victory and 7 scoreless in Game 3. So there's a little Rangers tie as well. But baseball's a small world. If you play long enough, you'll play with everybody in the game and have a tie with, somebody at every point. But, yeah, the Yankees, they're historically good in October.
Was that the Kenny Rogers pine tar in his hand year, I wonder?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I'll have to ask my dad.
That might have been that year.
I have the memory of a goldfish.
That year, and Kenny Rogers had pine tar in his hand to help him with obviously with the grip
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
ball. And somehow he got some like pine
Smeared
tar
on.
smeared on him. And so it's like, the gig is up. So that year for Halloween, I just went out to a party, that we had or with the kids or whatever. I went out in normal street clothes and I put some dark on here.
You were Kenny
What are
Rogers
you? I
for
said,
Halloween?
I'm just Kenny Rogers. They said, how? I said, so it was,
That's funny.
Well,
Yeah.
in 2011, last day of the regular season, the Rangers were in Anaheim, and the Tigers had won earlier in the day, and so the Rangers had to win the game, or else they would have had to fly across the country to start the postseason in New York.
Okay.
And I'll never forget, Mike Napoli hit a home run off of Jared Weaver in the 9th inning. That's the only time I've ever cheered in the press box because
Wow.
I had a flight on hold, the red eye to New York,
Yeah.
or it was go home and
Texas
play
to
Tampa.
Tampa, yeah.
And so, Mike Napoli he had 2 solo homers in that game. The final score was 2-1, but he hit the one off of Jared Weaver, who was mad, of course, about it. But that's the only time I've ever cheered in the press box.
Yeah.
Because Napoli hit
Meant a
that
lot.
homer, and none of us had to fly overnight to New York.
And I wonder, did the Rangers? Did you talk to? I wasn't there. Did you guys talk to them afterward? Did they know they needed that win for those reasons?
They knew.
They did. Okay,
yeah.
so
they
so
were
it
aware.
did matter because sometimes after you've clinched, it's like, oh, whatever, we're in the playoffs.
Right.
No,
they were playing to win that game.
Good.
So were the Angels, because Mike Scioscia's the manager, and he was old school and respects the pennant races and all that stuff like Bruce Bochy does.
Yeah.
And,
No one does it better than Boach.
I'll never forget. I took the red eye home.
Yeah.
But to Texas.
Yeah. Not to New York.
Not to New York. So we were all very, very happy.
Yeah.
My dad said yes, by the way.
Two.
Kenny Rogers.
That was the year? Okay, good.
It was the year of the pine tar.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That was great. So yes, the Yankees obviously have been and will be a huge player in World Series history. I mean, they've won the most World Series ever. But when you can take a 15-year sample and look at that and say we've been, 3 times as good as the Yankees as far as making it to the World Series
and
over a 15-year sample and winning one. I mean, it's pretty significant. And, when you have seasons as the Rangers did in, 19, 20, 21, even 22, which was better, but not better enough, right? You can lose sight of the fact that, in a 15-year sample size here, they were in the playoffs in 10 and 11. They were in the playoffs, only one game in 12. They were in the playoffs in 15 and 16.
Well, and 13, they played a tiebreaker to go to the playoffs.
Game
which
162.
They lost at
That's
home
right.
to David Price and the Rays.
Yeah. So, that's a lot of postseason activity in a 15-year period for a team that, again, because of that really, breaking it all the way down period, it seemed like, Rangers, and they look at the bigger picture. It's been a really good stretch of 15 years for this club.
For sure. Yes.
And they're going to be
the short answer.
And
The
by
short
the way,
answer is yes.
and I had people coming up to me at an event I was at on Saturday saying, "What about next year?" And I said, "They're going to be better." I mean, I can't promise and of course they put it in the context of Boach. And, this is the way Boach goes, right? Yeah, this is the pattern. Thank you. This is the pattern. And I said, I can't guarantee you the Rangers are going to be in the World Series next year. But, obviously it depends a lot on the offseason. And we've got a whole offseason to talk about the offseason. But I think it definitely is something that's possible if they do make not even like huge offseason moves, just a few critical ones.
Yeah, well,
help.
To go back to your comment about the last 15 years.
Yeah.
2009, the Rangers were 87 and 75.
Yeah.
If there had been the wild card round, they would have been the wild card team.
Yeah.
So really, you can start with that because the first wild card game wasn't until 12, or the play-in game, the wild card game.
Wild card game. Yeah.
So
that was a one game.
They would have been the wild card team.
Yeah.
So I might be screwing that up.
No,
it would have been the wild. It would have if there had been a wild card game. They would have been in the wild card game.
Right, and that was when it was just a one game. they were part of that first one when they played the Orioles.
Right. But in 09, it was the 3 division winners. And then the team with the next best record was the wild card team. Then in 12, they started the wild card game.
Gotcha.
And the Rangers would have been playing the Red Sox in Boston. Had the 09 rule, the 12 rules been in place in 09. So
yeah,
I might have butchered that.
No,
but I think it finally made sense.
There you go. So we've got more to talk about, lots more to talk about. Let's get into the specifics of the World Series combatants for this year. We'll get into how the Dodgers and how the Yankees sort of did what everybody expected would happen and how they got to this point. We've also got to talk about so much more as we get into the MVPs in the World Series. And you may have seen Jeff's article about the catching position today. We talk about that. It's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And it's time. It's time for you to consider those floors. You want to get some new floors before the holiday season, frankly. I mean, you've got people coming over. You've got all kinds of activity. And the place to get those new floors, Empire Today. They do such a great job. They have the highest quality. They have customer reviews that are unbelievable. They are one of those companies. They're so big and so sort of omnipresent that all the other competitors basically try to copy them. But you can't copy this original. They are the best for a reason. You need to avail yourself to Empire Today and their technology. Take a picture of the room you want a new floor in, and you go to Empire Today and you show it to them, and they can put the flooring of many different patterns and styles of flooring in that room virtually for you. It's fantastic. Get $350 off your new floors. Go to empiretoday.com/Dallas.
And while you're at it, it is slightly chilly in Dallas, might I say. Fellas, you need Roback. Do they have women's stuff?
Sure.
I think they do. Yeah,
they do.
I need to check out the women's gear. But no, Roback is one of the best when it comes to performance polos and pullovers. You know, they have a wicking fabric, so you're not going to get too hot because every now and again, a little 90 degrees likes to sneak up on us in Dallas. But no, they are the best fit, the best feel, the best materials, quality gear, and it speaks for itself. They have really cool game day collections as well, so you can support your favorite team. And we have a code for you, DLLS20 for 20% off on Roback on your first order. And thank John Radigan when you're typing in Roback. It's RH.
That's right.
OBACK. Again, 20% off on your order with DLLS20 and get your favorite gear.
That random H can throw people off. It really can. Yeah. But
the German H is what you called it. German H.
Yeah.
We all know I need phonetic spelling for everything.
And mine is Irish, though.
Oh.
It's not even German. Isn't that funny? Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Special.
Yeah. No idea. So, let's talk about this. The ALCS, I guess, first, because we're an American League city and an American League town and all that. But, the Yankees getting there, in many ways, I think, was a foregone conclusion. But, give the Guardians a ton of credit, right?
Sure.
That Friday night game. It was the Friday night game.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Well, fellas, I would like to reiterate a point that I was yet right again.
Oh, good
I
job.
said that we would be wrapping up the series and talking about the potential World Series Friday. And you guys said I was wrong.
I don't remember
the
any of that.
series would not be concluded.
I can't remember any of that. My short-term memory's not working very well.
Well, fellas, I was right again. No, but NLCS, I know we're going to get into it, surprising. Yankees got it done. I mean, but great effort and a great fight by Cleveland. I mean, their way of winning was fight until the end, and they really did. I didn't even expect the series to go the way that it did.
No.
Yeah. Really only the opener wasn't a good game.
That's right.
But the Yankees, two things happened. Their stars were stars.
Yes.
Like you've said, John, and between Cano hitting the big homer in the clincher, Stanton hitting homers pretty much
the whole time,
every damn game it seemed like.
Yeah.
And Judge even finally went deep. They proved to be too much, but the secondary thing to that is that, and it's probably what led to the primary thing, is that the Guardians just relied too much on their bullpen.
Yes, they did.
You know, it was
when they didn't need to.
What was the
to
stat?
be honest.
What was the stat? 66,
they went
67?
to their bullpen for 67% of the innings pitched. So yeah, I mean, they had those guys that had the injuries, and you know there are struggles there. But it's like when your guy is out there, let him get past 5. If the scoreboard looks good, but they wouldn't.
Well, you know, and curiously, it was a game 5, the clincher, when everything was on the line, and you'd expect starters to be on a short leash. That Stephen Vogt actually tried to get an extra inning out of his starter because he knew they were depleted. So Bybee starts the 6th, gets 2 outs, gives up a 2-run homer to Stanton that ties the game. You know, and then they bring in the reliever, a batter too late. But he was trying, you know, he knew the state of his bullpen wasn't good. And sure enough, you know, when it gets to extra innings there, and Gaddis, who pitched a ton, what a phenomenal at bat by Juan Soto. You pretty much knew, like, you know, Soto fouled off a I don't know what it was, a fastball or something, a ball he could have hit, and he knew he could have hit it. He just kind of nodded at the pitcher, and you knew he was cooked because, you know, Soto just kept fouling balls off, and that's what great hitters do until they get one. And he knocked the crap out of it, and then went for the home run and 3-run homer, and you know, that was it. That sealed the deal. But Cade Smith, the really good reliever for the Guardians, he pitched in 9 of their 10 postseason games.
Isn't that amazing?
You know, even with off days, it's still so
taxing.
Much pitching after a really labor-intensive regular season. So you're starting to see both bullpens fatigue. The Yankees in Game 4, Game 4 and Game 5, they used Mark Leiter Jr. Added him to the roster.
I was going to say they had to add him. Yeah,
Jack Leiter's cousin.
Yeah.
They use him right off the bat in Game 4 to get more than 3 outs, and then he comes in Game 5 and pitches. So they were going on fumes. Now they had the luxury of doing that. They didn't feel the need to press their best guys, which they eventually did. But nevertheless, it's that time of year. These guys are all tired.
Yeah, and it was interesting because Aaron Boone had said during the weekend, I can't remember if it was Friday or Saturday, you know, not everybody's available for pitching. Like our starters aren't available. This isn't all hands on deck. Now, part of that was it was Game 5. They weren't on the verge of losing, and it might have been all hands on deck if it had gotten to 7. You know, which would have been tomorrow night, but it wasn't, and it didn't, or would have been. Was the ALCS Game 7 would have been tomorrow, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And anyway, it wasn't that situation for the Yankees, and they didn't need all hands on deck, but they were still protective of those starting pitchers, and yet that's, you know, 2 back-to-back extra inning games that requires you to make roster moves and to get guys called up and that type of thing, because that is so taxing on a bullpen.
My dad's been on teams where he didn't make maybe the ALDS, but he made the ALCS, but he made the DS or whatever. But did you hear what Juan Soto said after the post game?
I didn't.
He said, I think Lauren Jabara was like, you know, how'd you feel about the guy you were facing and the pitch? And he goes, he should be scared of me. Like, I'm built for this moment. And somebody quoted it and was like, that's what separates good hitters from great hitters, you know? And he just had all the confidence. I loved how he was running the bases, just, you know, pumping his fist, pumping up the crowd. It's due time for the Yankees. I'm on the Yankees bandwagon.
I was listening on the radio when the Soto home run happened, and the announcers on ESPN radio were saying he is the best hitter on the planet. We've talked about, you know, the best pitcher on the planet, oftentimes Jacob deGrom. Again, now maybe it's Roki Sasaki. But anyway, that they were unequivocal in their praise of Soto, saying this is the best hitter on the planet. Now, I would obviously contend that Shohei Ohtani might have something to say about the best hitter on the planet. That said, Soto is an unbelievably hard out. And how about the acquisition of him by the Yankees? And by the way, they do have the budget for it, but are they willing and ready to pony up $600 million is probably what he's going to get, right?
Well, he turns 26 on Friday, so Game 1 of the World Series is his 26th birthday.
Great way to celebrate.
So you figure how 13-year deal, 13-year deal. If you take him to, let's say he's 38,
40,
don't go to 40, but let's say they go to 38. That seems to be the cutoff for when they start to worry about age. So 38. So that's 13 years. So yeah, what do you pay him? Is he worth $40 million a year? If so, that's $520,000.
Yeah,
or million, whatever. And
slight difference.
Just 3 zeros difference.
Yeah.
So that's not too extreme to think.
No, that's why again I've seen reports. You're going to have to go to $600 million, which isn't 7, right? It's not Ohtani money. But again, Ohtani deferred so much of his money, most of it.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, he might have set the blueprint for future contracts.
He might
like
have,
this,
because
I don't know if the Soto has to agree to that. Of course, it's not like they can just negotiate it willy nilly. But maybe if Soto saw somebody do it, maybe he doesn't take only $2 million a year because he's not going to have the marketing opportunities that Ohtani has. But maybe he can
10, right?
Yeah, 5, 7, whatever. I mean, it's going to be comfortable enough.
Yeah.
He might up. He's living in New York, guys. He might up the price.
That's right. Well, it's not like LA is cheap to live in.
Yeah, true.
So, well,
yeah.
Ohtani has, like you said, the endorsements too,
and all that gambling income.
Right.
Wink, wink.
Well, I didn't. No, that was his translator, Jeff.
Oh, right.
That wasn't
In other
him.
news, did you guys know that Stanton is hitting homers at a better rate than Babe Ruth?
Really?
Postseason wise, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that series for Stanton was
Monster.
unbelievable. He was your ALCS MVP, and rightly. I mean, it was an unbelievable.
4 home runs in the series.
I thought it was 5.
5?
Was it?
I don't remember.
4 or 5?
Yeah, but he deserved MVP honors for that series. It was really a thing of beauty. And again, it's why like in the NBA, we used to say you need two stars, right? You need Jordan and Pippen, right? And then all of a sudden, Miami kind of reworked that when LeBron went down there and he brought his buddies with him, and you needed 3 stars, right? And so, and again, by the way, quickly, the Mavs have 3 stars now. So
don't get me started.
Yeah, let's see what they can do with that. But similar in baseball, it's like, well, you need 1. Well, you need 2. Well, each of the 2 teams in the World Series has 3, not stars, superstars.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a dream matchup. I saw that in the comments. It's a dream matchup for MLB, and really, it's baseball fans should like this. I know it's kind of the evil empires because they have such high payrolls.
Everyone's such a hater on Twitter.
Respect the talent that you're going to see,
right?
And really, there's some storylines there. What are the Dodgers going to do if they're pitching? The Yankees have already announced that Garrett Cole is going to start Game 1 of the World Series. Buehler, Yamamoto, and Flaherty will be on normal rest.
Buehler was supposed to be the starter for today's game.
So how do you use them? But they're basically, the Dodgers have committed to essentially 2 bullpen games.
Right.
So you would think that Game 2 will be a bullpen game, so they can have the day off. But then you go to New York and you have that stretch where you're going to have to have 1, and that's why I thought, and John Smoltz made this point last night. That was really a must-win for the Dodgers because they were going to a bullpen game without a day off today. Which so if it had gone to Game 7, all their good relievers would have been working on fumes. Because Kopech started the game as the opener and wasn't very good, and then they ended up using Trinan for 2 innings, which they probably wouldn't have done. But the point is, they would have really had to dig deep, these relievers, and so. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. The history, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point. What is this? The 8th time they've played, or 11th time they've played each other?
Like the 12.
11.
Yeah,
this will be 12.
The Yankees are 8-3.
Real quick though, let's get Jeff fired up. Let's see this comment that said Soto to the Rangers.
Sure.
Okay.
Hey, it's not my money.
Yeah, we'll touch on that.
Dream for a second.
It's not my money.
And Ben, by the way, thanks for confirming Abby was right.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
Yeah, good job.
I didn't remember that at all. So short-term memory and all. We got more NLCS talk coming. Jeff started talking about it a little bit there. There's a whole bunch to talk about regarding how the Dodgers got where they are right now. We'll get into that, and we'll get into the questions like, is Soto a potential Ranger? It's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Oh, but I was just checking this out. Now that the Yankees are in the World Series,
I'm gonna make some bets.
the Wilsons are going to New York. Now we're going to miss. I thought the Yankees were going to be the home team, and if so, if it had gone to Game 7, we could have gone to Game 7 and used the Game Time app. I already looked at Game Time for the games 3, 4, and 5, and the tickets are already over $1,000. But for those of you who aren't familiar with Game Time, get it. Download the app. It helps you get tickets to ball games, theater events, concerts, comedy shows, whatever you want. If you can't get a ticket, my favorite part is the all-in pricing, so that you don't have any surprise fees at the end, and then the seat views. You can get a panoramic view of where your seat's going to be, so that you don't have a big pole sticking in front of you. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use the code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Abby, what time is it?
Game time?
Darn right.
Thank you. I'll use Jeff as the model. Can give the good people a look at the shirt.
Oh, yeah.
We've
That's
got
a good
old Texas Chew. I think, actually put in the chat, if you're a big league chew person or sunflower seeds. Gentlemen, I want to know your answer in a second.
I'm sunflower seeds, sorry.
Big League Chew.
Big league chew.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm not coordinated enough for sunflower seeds.
It's too much work.
Yeah.
But no, we finally have our merch. Ben tagged us in a photo. He got his shirt and repping, DLLS at the gym, which is awesome. We can't wait to see you guys in this gear. Jeff, tell the people how comfortable and amazing it is.
Wonderfully comfortable and amazing.
Thank you.
Really. I mean, I didn't. I got these this Saturday, and 2 others. TCU shirt will debut Wednesday. I got the TCU.
Oh yeah,
shirt.
because you got the show. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't wash. I haven't washed them yet, but this is so super soft. It's probably my favorite T-shirt. These T-shirts. I just love a soft tee.
Yeah.
Store.allcitynetwork.com. All right, NLCS.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Heck of a game.
Yeah, it was. Look, I mean, again, better series than maybe we thought going in. Again, it seemed like the Dodgers are just going to roll, and the Mets had something to say about it a couple of different times. Jeff and I didn't even think that the Mets would be able to extend the series. You were probably right about that too, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah.
I'd love to keep a track.
Well, she just said it was going to end.
Being right.
That the series were going to be over by today.
By
today. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeff and I thought it was going to end Friday night. Right? Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think we all thought.
Oh, you did too.
Dodgers
Okay.
would. Yeah. But Dave Roberts joins Bruce Bochy as the only active manager to win 4 pennants, 25th all-time in MLB.
It's pretty amazing. And again, because they're built the way they are, it's not enough, right? It's not enough. ALCS isn't enough for Dodgers fans and really for Dodgers management.
I mean, NLCS?
And, that's what I meant, yeah. It's not enough.
Well, they spent $1 billion in the offseason.
Yeah.
You got to make it.
That's right. But they spent $1 billion because it hadn't been enough.
Right. Yeah.
They spent $1 billion because they're like, we expect more. We need more. And this year they got more. But I'll tell you what, because of injuries, it wasn't easy.
No, and it's not going to be easy. I jumped ahead of the script and talked about the bullpen issues. I mean, it's definitely not going to be easy. And you saw a good start from Flaherty in the championship series and Buehler too. But then you saw a stinker from Flaherty too, and with the clinch on the line.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Yamamoto starts game 1, but I don't know for sure. Just he has the best stuff, I would think. I think right now he's probably a better pitcher than Buehler. But I don't know. And maybe they will like how guys match up at Yankee Stadium more. I'm not sure, but that's what I would bet early on. It's just, they would love to have Tyler Glass now.
Oh my!
Obviously, they'd like to have Shohei Ohtani, the pitcher. Of course, they knew they wouldn't have him this year.
Yeah.
Tony Gosselin, who I guess he's a possibility to be added to the roster, but he wouldn't be able to pitch very much. So I think that it's going to be a great series. I'm looking forward to the talk about the history. When these teams played, I think the first one was in 1941. They played throughout the 50s.
1941.
Yeah,
first since 1981, though.
Right. In 56 is probably one of the best series ever. That included Don Larson's perfect game.
Yeah.
But that was game 5. That they said the Yankees still had work. They both had work to do. That was the year that Mickey Mantle won the Triple Crown. Duke Snider was on the Dodgers team. I think Jackie Robinson was too.
Yep.
So I mean, it's just the names that helped make baseball. After World War II and kind of that was 10 years after World War II. But still, that was, I don't know, just maybe that was because it was my dad's era, and he talked about those guys a lot. Maybe that's why I'm so fond of it and looking forward to this. But just some great names, a young Sandy Koufax, in 56. And so anyway, I think it's going to be fun. And then, I don't know a lot about 70s baseball, the decade I was born in, but, those 78 and 77 and 78 series with Reggie in 77.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be fun, I think.
I think if you're romantic about baseball, which I think everyone in this room,
it's a romantic sport,
and the chat is, you're intrigued because, this is the third time in this century that the number 1 seeds are, going head to head in the Fall Classic. The Dodgers led the NL with the best record this season. The Yankees led the AL this season. They also have the biggest run differential. Also, these are two teams that have so much history in the World Series. I mean, this is the 12th time they're meeting, but the Yankees have been to the World Series 41 times. The Dodgers, 22. I mean, that's the most in Major League history.
Yeah.
But I know that we're going to talk about Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. We're going to spend plenty of time on that. But I kind of want to take a deep dive into something else of how many talented players are on this roster that do have rings, but then how many talented players are on the roster that don't as well? Because I do think it's kind of interesting. Like I said Friday, MLB Network was quoted saying, the Yankees win not because of – they win more so on talent than execution. Dodgers, it's not as strong of a statement there, but, I mean, Soto, he's looking for his 2nd ring. Betts is looking for his 3rd. Freeman's looking for his 2nd. Garrett Cole's never won a ring.
Right.
Aaron Judge has never won a ring. It's like these are the, and the people on Twitter that are like, oh, I don't want to see this, or, the Rangers aren't in this, so why do we even care? It's like, this is the best of the best of the best of the best in the game. How can you not want to see this matchup? I mean, that's what's so enticing to me. This is like, I know that we're putting apples to apples, and I want to see how this thing ends. And I want to see, is this a year that Aaron and Garrett finally get a ring? Like, those are two guys. I mean, Garrett Cole said himself, the only thing missing from my resume is a ring. And I think a ring is so important. It's definitely how a lot of players validate themselves in their career. I think, my dad doesn't have a ring and holds on to that to this day and will forever. And as he should, it's the thing that solidifies your career. So I feel, and Shohei Ohtani, I mean, this is his first time in the postseason, and he's going to the World Series. Like, it's a great week of baseball that we are about to watch.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think a lot of times if you don't really have sort of, a dog in the fight, you don't care. It's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to root for the underdog to beat the Yankees or to beat the Dodgers. But there's no underdog. These two teams, each have the 3 superstars. They each have the big budget. They each have so many things. And by the way, I think out of those 11 or 12 now times that these two teams have met in the World Series, only 5 now. This will be the 5th since they moved to Los Angeles. The Dodgers moved to Los Angeles, right? Most of them occurred when they were crosstown rivals. Brooklyn against the New York, basically Brooklyn against the Bronx. So, this is significant, and of course, the Dodgers have one thing that the Yankees don't. That is a 5'10" switch hitting cleanup batter who won the MVP of the NLCS. How about Tommy Edman?
How about him?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, what a story. What a story this guy is. And, he didn't play much during the regular season. He's not a household name like the rest of these guys. You're looking at all this talent that the Dodgers have, and you're going, Tommy Edmonds hitting cleanup? And Tommy Edmonds admitted he was thinking the same thing. He grew up in La Jolla, where his dad is a teacher and a baseball coach. And that's obviously San Diego area, which is just south of Los Angeles, obviously. His mom was a Dodgers fan her whole life. So really cool story for a guy like this. And by the way, John Edmond, his dad, was at the game, of course, yesterday, watching his son, and he's back in class today at La Jolla Country Day School, making sure he's, still teaching the kids.
Yeah.
So.
No,
he probably could have called in a sub. They would have understood.
Yeah. He's got to do it next week.
I was about to say, he's
York.
saving it for the World Series,
Yeah,
guys.
they're doing it.
No, he had 11 RBI, won an LCS MVP. One of his best stretches in his career.
No doubt. And Jeff and I were talking before the show. Look, I got to believe that Max Muncy's, got some votes anyway. Max Muncy had a great series.
Yeah, terrific. He reached base, 12 straight at bats.
Yeah.
He and Ohtani both reached 15 or 16 times in the series.
Which is a record in a series.
And the Dodgers scored 46 runs, which I think was a record.
Yeah.
You saw the Dodgers flex on offense, and that's without Freddie Freeman being healthy and being in the lineup every day. And it was pretty interesting. I thought Derek Jeter made an interesting point. They were like, this is Freddie Freeman, sit him or whatever. And Jeter's like, he's great. Every team would be better with him, but they should have at one point said, all right, you're going to sit out and get healthy instead of this 2 on, 1 off, whatever it is. So now he's going to have some time off to get healthy. So I would expect that at least the first 2 games, he's going to be the best he's been this postseason.
Sure.
He doesn't have to do jack for 4 days. So,
and he'll get treatment, right?
Right.
I mean, the treatment that they give is, not always just shooting somebody up. The treatment is really good. It accelerates the healing process. So,
he thinks he's going to be good to go.
Yeah. And again, his narrative the whole time has been, well, it's okay because I'm not making it worse. It's not getting any better, but I'm not making it worse, which for him and for his career and all that, I hope is true, right? Yeah. Because guys will fight through something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in 2011, Josh Hamilton played with a sports hernia.
Yeah.
And had the great. He was good. He hit the home run in Game 6 that everybody thought was going to win the Rangers the World Series. He was getting daily shots for his sports hernia in a place where nobody wants to get a shot.
No,
man or woman, really, but especially men.
Yeah.
And that's what they do this time of year. They just play hurt. But all those guys at this time of the year, I've made this point before. I made it on the TCU podcast Wednesday. When I asked Josh Hoover, is the last time you felt this good? Because they're coming off the bye the day before fall camp started. He said, yeah. As soon as spring training starts, baseball players are like a car. As soon as you drive it off the lot, their value just starts going down. They never feel as good as they do the day before spring training. That's it. So they're all dealing with something at some point by now. All these pitchers are tired. The hitters are tired. If they're not hurt and playing through something, they wake up sore or just whatever it is. And so it's hard. That's why it's hard to do this back-to-back years. It hasn't been done in a long, long time, and it was a great Yankees teams that did it. So, but they're still going to be the best of the best. They're the 2 best teams, highest payroll or not. I don't care. There is a lot of homegrown talent or talent that they've found and helped develop. So, they're complete organizations, and they're deep, and they deserve to be where they're at.
Yeah, they do.
It's going to be fun. It really is. We'll be on, throughout the course of the World Series, each and every day, of course, and we'll talk a lot about it. And one of the things we'll be mentioning a lot is the fact that there are 2 candidates for a rare honor, 2 guys who would have the opportunity to win the MVP of the season and the MVP of the series. So we're going to talk about how that might transpire and who else has ever done that coming up. And we'll also get into that catching quagmire for the Texas Rangers as they look to find a good replacement for Jonah Heim for next year. That's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. So we've talked about the merch and the great-looking shirts that Jeff has been able to model for us, and I hope you've gotten your merch. I haven't gotten mine yet, but I know this. If you get a Die Hard subscription, you're going to get at least one more bit of merch because you'll get a shirt for free if you become a Die Hard. A Die Hard is basically like joining our club, right? It's becoming, as Abby likes to say, our best friend.
Our best friend.
And we would like you to be Ben's already Abby's best friend because he came to her aid when I doubted or forgot, whichever it was.
My boy Ben backed me up. Appreciate it.
He did. But anyway, Die Hard's more than just merch. And you get a new shirt every year, every time you re-up as a Die Hard. It's more than just merch, though. It's 20% off of our events. We're going to have more and more events. We were brainstorming upstairs earlier about events that we want to have, and we keep mentioning, and it's true, spring training, we intend that to be an event. You fly out there somehow with or for us or meet us there, however it's going to work, and we are going to show you a sort of behind-the-scenes look at spring training. We're going to have, stadium takeovers. We're going to have watch parties. So these are all things that are coming in the future, and these are all things that you, as a diehard, would get 20% off on. You would also get 20% off on the merchandise, any merchandise that you buy in the future. So,
and we also have, just because we're in DLLS doesn't mean you can't check out the other places.
Sure.
Because there's Chicago, there's Phoenix,
Denver,
Philly, Denver.
And Philly. Yep.
Yeah.
So there's gift cards too. So if your friend or your family lives elsewhere, you can give the gift of a gift card and get them a pretty cool. If I lived in Chicago, that'd be a great gift to give somebody, a diehard membership or something like that. Sponsor a friend. But check it out at alldlls.com. Jeff wrote something today, put it behind the paywall. We're going to get into it. But yeah, become our best friend.
That's it. Die Hard. And we'll talk about the Christmas movie Die Hard a little later. That's
right.
Topic for another day.
Not a Christmas movie.
Yeah, we're going to have that argument one of these days on the pod. So for now, we want to talk a little bit about this dual MVP. Look, we know. Obviously it's not out yet. We know Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani are going to win the MVP awards for their respective leagues.
Undoubtedly.
So that means that there are two MVPs in the World Series, either one of whom could win the MVP of the World Series.
Which, entering 2024, a World Series with two MVPs has only occurred 6 times in the divisional era since 1969.
Okay.
So this is history.
Yeah, this is. Did any of those in those years, does it say if any of them won the World Series MVP as well?
Ooh, that's further research that I could follow up with at an answer tomorrow.
We'll look for that answer tomorrow.
Unless, like Misty, she's our fact checker.
Yeah.
She finds that.
Yeah. Okay.
88 was the one that came to mind. Kirk Gibson hit the big home run, but did not win the MVP.
Good question. So let's run through the list. Let's run through the list of the other. What, 6 or 5? Is this
6.
the 6th time?
6.
Oh, there's 6. Let's see.
2012.
Yeah.
Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah.
My beloved Miggy, and Buster Posey.
Okay.
Bruce Bochy. So that's the tie there.
Yeah.
Then we've got 1988. Jose Canseco.
Canseco.
Yeah. Kirk Gibson.
Yep.
My other guy. Then we got 1980, George Brett, Mike Schmidt.
Oh, wow.
So Mike Schmidt won the MVP of that World Series.
Of that World Series.
Look,
so there you go.
I've got the list up here. We're doing it. We're doing it right now.
I thought he was doing it from his noggin.
Memory.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
All right. 1976, Thurman Munson, Joe Morgan.
No.
1975, Fred Lynn, Joe Morgan.
No.
1970, Boog Powell and Johnny Bench.
No.
Wow. So it's only happened one time
There you go.
that a Mike Schmidt is the only guy to have ever won the MVP of the season and the MVP of the World Series in the same year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge both have a shot at being the second in history.
I'll say this now. If the Yankees win the World Series, I do not foresee Aaron Judge winning the MVP.
It's hard to say. Again, as your dad pointed out so aptly, those guys, certain guys, like you just won't pitch to.
Yeah.
And obviously
somebody put Judge's batting average.
Okay.
It was Edman and Judge.
Yeah.
Making the comparison.
Look, you're not going to pitch to Judge.
Right.
Clearly, they'll pitch to Stanton. Right? I mean, you got to pick your poison. But I think that.
But you pick it on a guy that's that hot?
Well, but the thing is, if you get Judge on one of those heaters, what we've seen in the past is that heater is hotter than the Stanton heater. What's the thing? Okay.
Yeah. Edman, 341.
Look at that. 341.
Postseason averages. Yeah.
Love that, again, BC. Yeah, that's fantastic. There you go, Edman.
How many times has Judge walked?
Right.
You know?
I mean, it's amazing. They just aren't going to pitch to him. And then you've got to, they don't want to pitch to Ohtani either. But he figured out a way to get on base like 16 times to set a record in the NLCS. So you've got to figure out a way. You've got to adjust to the adjustment that they're making.
You know what, though? I will say a very strong take. I felt like the Yankees figured out the Guardians bullpen, especially Clase. And so that makes me maybe take the Yankees in this series because Dodgers rely so heavily on their bullpen.
It's true. What makes me lean toward the Yankees is the fact that they have better starting pitching, right? Healthier, whatever it is. Call it healthy, call it better. I like a team that can go deeper with their starter on a nightly basis than what the Dodgers can.
Yeah, so. I agree. And while she was rattling off the list of MVPs, it's also the 6th World Series between each league's home run leader with Judge and Ohtani.
Okay.
The others, 56, Mantle, Snyder, 37, DiMaggio, Mel Ott, 36, Gehrig, Mel Ott, 28, Babe Ruth, Jim Bottomley, and then 1921, Ruth and George Kelly. So, I mean, this is the first time in, I don't know, do the math, more than 50 years, almost 60 years, 70 years, 70 years. 70 years since that's happened.
There's so many things.
Math is hard.
In this World Series, though.
Yeah.
You got to be excited about it.
Yeah, it is. It's really historic in so many ways. And what's funny, listening again on the radio, coming home the other night, and there was an extra inning game, granted, but they're like, okay, that's our 9th reference to Babe Ruth on this show, right? Amazing the breadth of references that a guy like that still gets, right?
Yeah. Well,
and again, it's partially because you're comparing not stats, but you're also, in the case of the NLCS, you're comparing a guy, right? We clearly often have heard Shohei Ohtani is Babe Ruth, and I think Jeff's made the case better, right? Because
but he's
Babe
a better
Ruth
pitcher.
didn't pitch and hit at the same time.
Yeah.
And said numbers are hard. That's why we've got Misty. That's true.
In 1929, Babe Ruth hit 59 homers, and George Kelly hit 23. So this is just kind of, and Ruth hit he hit 29 for Boston as a two-way player. Got traded to the Yankees, hit 54. This is where he started revolutionizing the game.
Yeah.
And that's, he's so impactful in that way that it really changed the game.
Yes.
Jim Bottomley hit 31 or 32 that year, and Ruth hit 54 in 28. That was after a 60-homer season. Hall of Famers. George Kelly's in the Hall of Fame. Jim Bottomley's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
All those guys on that list, I think, are in the Hall of Fame. Mantle, obviously. Snyder, obviously. DiMaggio, Ott. Yep, they're all in the Hall of Fame. But and maybe these two guys end up being in the Hall of Fame. Sure, it seems like they're on that trajectory.
Yeah.
On the path.
Seems like they're on that path. No doubt about that. So pretty fun. Pretty historic, this World Series that is about to begin on Friday. We did see all the games will begin at 7 o'clock Central Time.
I like that.
I do too. 7 o'clock Central Time, all the games begin. It's tough out east. I mean, 8 o'clock start times. And look, the pitch clock and all that stuff doesn't mean you get shorter games this time of year.
Oh, this time of year? No.
The commercial breaks, I think, are a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And both these teams are pretty good about extending at bats.
Yeah, no doubt. So anyway, it's going to be really fun to watch. Jeff wrote something today on our website about the catching position. And, of course, during the course of the offseason, we're going to go through so many different positions and so many different things that, we believe that the Rangers could do, should do, might do, will do, right? And if they do one of those things, we'll be all over that as well. So last year, I think most people, Jeff, basically feel Jonah, after the previous year, right, where he had carried such a heavy load, right? He just didn't have enough gas in the tank for another full season.
Yeah, the storyline evolved from spring training until the end of the season. And the Rangers in spring training, they gave Heim and Adolis Garcia both considerable time off at the start of games. They didn't play their first games until into March. So they recognized the wear and tear. Adolis was coming off an injury, but Heim was coming off of he caught more than 1,100 innings, including the postseason. He caught probably the last 15 regular season games, and then all 17 postseason games. And I think maybe Austin Hedges might have gotten an inning behind the plate at some point in the championship series, and then in the World Series he caught the 10th inning at least. But it went from no, that shouldn't be an issue, to no, it's not an issue, he's just struggling, to we think
was an issue.
He's probably tired, and then like completely he needs time off this offseason. He didn't have it last offseason. It was an issue. Jonah, though, this was at the end of the year. This was probably the Friday, might have been the Saturday in Anaheim, game 160 or 161. He talked about how he had a mental lapse at one point. He had such a good 2023 All-Star, Gold Glove winner, the guy who got the pitching staff through the World Series, 95 RBIs despite missing 3 weeks. He was trying to live up to that, and he couldn't do it. And then it just started to spiral, and he started trying too many things and couldn't get out of his own way. His OPS declined by more than 150 points. I mean, he was never Johnny Bench or Pudge Rodriguez.
Right.
But that's a huge drop-off from a guy who you had probably at least batting 6, sometimes higher. You can't have that again this year. So the Rangers are going to try to get him a good backup. Andrew Kisner, despite his past and his ability to be a backup, did not hit.
Didn't work.
It didn't work. So I think they want a guy who's going to be able to catch 60 or 70 games. That will cut back considerably for Jonah, who I think caught 110 or 119 games. I can't remember. Maybe it was 110 starts this year. And Jonah will learn from it, and maybe he will have a bounce back year. They're kind of expecting that he will be. The thought was in his exit interview is that he was great and very excited for the upcoming year. But nevertheless, so maybe a guy like Carson Kelly, who came over the trade deadline. Carson's not. He's going to be a first-time free agent, so that's not going to work. He's going to try to get as much money as he can. They have Sam Huff in the system, but the Rangers are a little bit down on him right now after his season. So then you're kind of like, gosh, who do you go after? There's always free agent catching.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like they're free agents for a reason, because they didn't do one thing well and the other thing not well. And in this case, it's usually hitting. You have some guys who batted under 200. Names you've heard of, Yan Gomes, but he's older and he's hitting under 200. He's never been a good hitter. So who do you get? Do you buy to get a guy like Max Stassi, who was hurt, hasn't played since I think 2022 maybe?
Wow.
Do you get him, get a minor league deal, see what he's got left? We've talked about James McCann, who you like and know from the Tigers connection there. A good guy who's been really good against lefties previously. Heim is better against lefties than righties, so maybe they look for somebody who hits the right-handers better. But it's a thin group.
Yeah.
To find a good backup, it's hard to do. But they need somebody who can carry more of a load. And
this year, in the first round of the draft this past year, they drafted a catcher,
Malcolm Moore.
But it is very difficult to develop catchers.
100%.
I mean, and so there's not anybody in the system, right?
There's Sam.
Sam.
Yeah, but he's out of options. So I mean, if he doesn't make the roster, he's at risk of being designated for assignment and claimed by somebody else. Now, it's hard to claim a guy who doesn't have options. That's the one thing. That's what got Nelson Cruz through in 2008. Honestly, he was out of options, and nobody wanted to pick up a borderline outfielder and give him a roster spot. So, but yeah, there's not anybody knocking on the door internally. Cooper Johnson is at AA, but he needs time. Malcolm Moore, the first rounder, he got to he debuted at high A, but he's a couple
long
of years.
ways away. Yeah.
So it's going to be a while. So don't be surprised if they spend a 40-man spot this offseason on a catcher. They will try their hardest to get somebody in camp on a minor league deal, and that would give Huff a true chance to compete in a sense that we're both on the same contract basically, and give him a chance. So we'll see what happens. But all teams sign catchers and invite them to spring training.
Yep.
But it's on minor league deals. A big league deal would kind of tell you about Sam Huff's future if they give it to like a McKeon or somebody like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's
So that's
such
something
an
to look forward
important
to.
part, of the game. And Bruce Bochy said it at the exit meeting that the toughest toll that the postseason run takes is on the catcher. I mean, that makes sense. So again, it's not excuses for Jonah Heim's 2024, but it's reasons.
Yeah. And speaking of Nelly, by the way, they had a stat the other night about Giancarlo Stanton hitting more home runs after the 6th inning in a game in the postseason than anybody since Nelson Cruz.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He was a huge clutch in 11.
Very
Holy
clutch.
cow.
So
hey, we're gonna do some more positions. So real quick, Ben and Ardell and BC and Coop. What position do you want to read about next? First base, second base, or center field?
Ooh.
Quick.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, I'll check the chat and we'll
Let
see
us
what
know on
happens.
Twitter too.
Yeah, or tweet us. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're
Okay.
always there. We appreciate you being there. We'll be here every day this week at noon.
12
and
o'clock.
We're excited about that. We like the time slot. We seem like people took their lunch break with us. We appreciate that. And now it's time, since none of you brought us food. Oh, you're getting first? Okay, there we
Center
go.
fielder in first. Oh, hey, Coop.
All right,
We'll see what happens. It's a
Ben,
draw right now.
Coop, thank you for your response. We didn't get any food brought.
CF, center field. All right, we'll do.
Like everything. There they go. Jeff requested food. We didn't get it, so it's time for us to go eat. Right?
On
That's
Jeff's
right.
tab.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Very good. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow at noon for another edition of the DL.
We all silly like the mayor.